Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Thursday Reddit live chat. If you're new to this channel, I'm Erin. I'm a virtual assistant, and I love to teach tips, tools, and tutorials for VAs, whether you're a beginner or an expert. I think there's always something that we can learn in this industry. And every Thursday, I'm starting to hop on a live for a brief discussion about things in our industry that are happening in the moment, and we are getting real life in the moment details from Reddit. I'm a huge Redditor, and the thing that I love the most about Reddit is that the things in and about virtual assistants and about admin assistants are happening in real time. People are having discussions about these things in real time, and they're happening on social media. Reddit just happens to be my favorite because it's anonymous. People are talking about the craziest things. And I find that since it's anonymous, they're a little more realistic and a little more honest. So last week we went through a couple AI different subreddits to talk about what tools people are using. Are they really working realistically or not? Hey, Janet. Hi. Thank you so much for joining today. Hey, Moen. Am I pronouncing your name correctly? Moen. I want to make sure that I am getting your name pronounced correctly. I also saw your comment. I just want to let you know that people do not pay me for some of these tutorials that I give. I do a lot of tool tutorials, and nobody paid me for Focusy. I genuinely use that and am using that. Sorry if I threw you off. I will always let you guys know if anybody pays me for something that I accept. I only do so. Oh, no sorries. I just want you to know that I genuinely use the tech that I share on this channel. And I do not share tips or tutorials on things that I don't use or are not relevant to us VAs. So I just want you to rest assured, I still have your best interest at heart. And a lot of my followers also do creative videos. They create videos, they create demos. So I just thought that was a really great tool to like do demos as well. I'm really glad you're joining though. So thank you so much. And always thank you for your comment. I really do read all your guys' comments. So anyway, so we talked about AI before. Today, I came across a post that somebody posted about executive assistants. And I thought they made such good points that I wanted to hop on here and talk about how this is not an easy job. So this was the title of somebody's Reddit post today where she said, "This is not an easy job, and I'm tired of hearing people say what we do is so easy, or it's so simple that anyone can do it," or she gets frustrated that people think they can just transition quickly into executive assistants, and I had a lot of thoughts about this. Mainly because I do agree it is not an easy job. In fact, I find in any language when people say things like, "Oh, your job is so easy," or like in English we say there's a saying, and it's people say like, "Working in a restaurant is unskilled labor." I could not hate that phrase more because every job needs skills. Clearly, those people have never worked in a restaurant. I have. It's hard work. You have to remember everybody's orders. You have to be cheerful. You have to be welcoming. You have to make sure that you're managing 10 different tables and 50 people at the same time and make sure everyone's happy. Like, none of that is unskilled. So I do agree with this Redditor that it also really bothers me when people say virtual assistants or any sort of admin assistance is easy. To that, I say those people have clearly never had an admin job before. But I also wanted to talk about this, and sorry, I'm scrolling through other people's comments as we are speaking about this live. But I just want anybody watching to know that if you are getting into admin assistance, I don't want you going into this job thinking like, oh, it's going to be so easy. Like any job, it's going to take skills. And more importantly, you have skills and you can learn skills on the job. Don't let anyone tell you that this is an easy job. Don't let anyone make you feel bad that this is an easy job. We are the glue behind our clients, behind our executives. We are the ones that have to quickly, hi, Tori, thanks for joining today. We have to quickly go through our executives' calendars and inboxes and understand each client's personality and their workflows, their hours of operation. Like there's a lot that we have to manage at the same time. And so just give yourself a pat on the shoulder because admin assistance really is one of those things where our brains have to be plugged in all the time. We have to be sharp and delivering our best work during business hours. It can sometimes feel like a 24/7 job because we are constantly thinking about how to cater to other people. So, yeah, it's I also was thinking it's very unfortunate that this Redditor posted just this morning, a couple hours ago, and said, "I'm so frustrated that people think this is such an easy job." And as we are talking live, there are 252 comments of other people saying same thing. People are undervalued. People make me feel undervalued. They make me feel underestimated. Somebody else also said that they feel like it is harder and more detailed oriented than ever. Could not agree more. Detail orientation is one of the most important things because, and I just think it's still fascinating. I'm wondering if anybody watching live, any of you guys right now, if you find that you've also had people say to you like, "Oh, admin assistance is so easy." That one just really, really gets to me. All right, we're also scrolling through. I guess I could go to the AI subreddit if you guys are interested in that today. Um, let's see. Okay, I'm not even gonna go into this post. Somebody said, "I've developed a massive crush on my boss." Okay, I'm not even gonna touch that. That's a big no-no. Oh, man. Okay, here's an interesting one we can talk about. This is titled, "Does your boss blame you when they miss meetings?" So this person said, "My boss arrived late to a meeting and told the attendees that he didn't receive an appointment from his EA, which is me, and that I must have deleted it or forgotten about it. This is not the first time I've caught my boss blaming me for mistakes." Um, I'm really glad I clicked on this person's experience. I have also experienced something similar with multiple clients where they will throw me under the bus, as the colloquial saying goes. They will blame me if they miss a meeting. I had one client who used to blame me constantly, and this is what I did to help combat to make sure that she saw all her meetings on her calendar. I put notification pop-ups 15 minutes prior so she'd know a meeting was coming up. It would come up on her screen. I would do notification emails 30 minutes prior so that she would get an email saying you have a meeting coming up. I sent her a daily calendar every morning. I would wake up and be like, "Hey, at 8 a.m., this is on your agenda, 9, 10, meeting at 11." Uh, I just, short of me texting her before each meeting, being like, "Hey, you have to be on the phone right now." Um, I tried a lot of different things to get her to look at her calendar and adhere to the calendar. She still didn't, and she would often blame me for missing things, which can be very, very frustrating. And I'm trying to see what other, you know, it's interesting to me because this also might be a personality thing. Um, I've also had other clients who have certainly missed meetings because they get busy and they're human and, a meeting runs long, they forget to tell me, they forget to tell the next attendee. Those clients that I've worked with have not gotten mad at me. So I think maybe it's a personal thing, which is good because it also begs the question, how do we as VAs weed out bad clients? Like, not every client is going to be an amazing fit for you. There are going to be some clients who have, I'll call them toxic traits, bad behaviors. One of those would be constantly missing meetings. I personally find that to be very rude. I don't think that executives who do that really value other people's time. And then certainly if they're blaming you for missing those meetings, that's a bad client. So I think that begs the question, how do we as virtual assistants help weed out between bad clients and good clients? And I've certainly had both. I've been doing this since 2012. Luckily, most of the clients I've had are good clients, but I've certainly had bad clients. And when I do catch some of those red flags, one of those being blamed for things that I have not done, that to me is definitely an indicator that I should drop or fire this client, and which I've certainly done before. Hi, Iwu. Thanks for joining us. Good evening. Okay, Moen, I see a client wanted me to send him a video process of how I get the job done in detail because he wants to learn how to handle. Oh, okay. So, okay, ironically, Moen, one of my favorite things to do if a client wants to see details of how I'm doing something, which I've also had people ask for, I actually will film them demos. I used to do this on, my gosh, I'm already forgetting. There was this other tool. Wow, I'm having a brain fog moment. There was another tool I used to use years ago. No, it's totally escaping me. Where I used to film what I was doing. It was very simple. Uh, Now that I am using this new tool, that Focusy, that I actually just filmed a demo for a client yesterday who was starting a new tool, AI calendar blocking tool. Most of it I could oversee as his assistant, but there were certain things that he had to take charge himself to get the AI up and running. So I sent him a demo so he could see that. But something that you could propose to your client is you could say, I will write up what's called an SOP, a standard operating procedure. You should get paid for the time that it takes you to write your SOP, but it is important for you to say to your client, um, or for you to document everything that you do, the steps that you take, how you get certain tasks done. Documenting things like that can be very helpful in not only showcasing your work and your skills, can be good in case, as you said, your client wants to start taking over some of these themselves or just wants to know how you're getting your work done. Um, Speaking of, writing up your own SOPs or at least keeping track somewhere, could be on a piece of paper, could be in a digital note, but keeping track of the kind of services and tasks that you do for your clients can be really helpful when it comes time to ask for more money. So every year I revisit my rates and I ask myself, is there anything new that I've learned? Has my scope of work changed? Has any skills that I've been working on, have they gotten better? Have I gotten faster? And then I ask myself, does that justify a pay raise? Most of the time, I do come to my clients annually and say, I have a new rate this year. This is what it is moving forward. There have been several years in the past where I have not raised rates because I feel like the value I'm getting for the work I'm doing for them is well compensated. So that's I typically go back through my notes myself to be reminded of, hey, client A hired me a year ago to do their calendar, and it's been 1 year, and now not only do I do their calendar, but I'm also managing their inbox and I'm also managing their, whatever. And if my scope of work has changed, that gives me the tools I need to be able to go back to them and say, here's what you hired me for, here's what I'm now doing. My rates are increasing and starting this date, and I look forward to continuing work with you. So that's just something I do to help, and hopefully that helps you as well. Let me know, Moen. Let me know if that helps you as well. I don't think it's an atypical ask. I've definitely had clients ask me for video demos or SOPs, just they want to see how I'm doing certain work. In some cases, I have written SOPs on clients' behalf. So sometimes clients will say, I've had clients who have hired multiple VAs for different things. And, or if I've ever fired a bad toxic client, I typically, because I don't like to burn bridges, I like to keep a good working relationship, even if they are not a good client. I will also give them SOPs when I depart and say, here's a Google document of the work that I do for you, the tools that I use for you. Here are the most common apps or software that I've been using for your work, so that they can hand it to their next incoming VA. And I do it not necessarily for the client. I do it to help the future VA get up to speed faster. Yeah. So that's a great question. I just talked your ear off about that. All right, let's see what else is going on in Reddit. Let's see. Interesting. Okay. So for those of you just joining, we are scrolling Reddit live. And we are working through, this is funny. Somebody said, is there a bad executive list somewhere? Only in our head, lady, only in our heads. This one I just think is kind of funny. Is anybody else struggling to plan their own personal life? This person said, I've been at this job too long. I'm really good at the corporate environment. I'm really good at working with executives, but I spend my own life scheduling, booking, coordinating, organizing, but I find I am unable to do it for myself. I'm curious to know if anybody is watching, of people who are watching today, if anybody else is really good at doing virtual assistants and then struggles with their personal life. I actually found that when I first started, that used to be the case. When I first started as a VA, because I put all my concentration on my clients. And admittedly, I probably had too many clients. There was one point in my career where I had 18 clients and I could barely keep up with their work, let alone have time for my own personal life. So by the time I was finished with work and finally closed my laptop at 6 p.m., I was far too tired. I could barely think of what I wanted for dinner, and I was far too tired to do any of my own personal stuff. Like book a flight for myself, never. I could barely even find the energy to do the dishes. Um, what helped me combat that, and I am much better now. I am my own best VA. I am super organized these days, and what's helped me the most is winnowing down my client list. So instead of having 18 people who are kind of sort of good fits, or I kind of sort of enjoyed working with them, I really narrowed my list of clients down to now I'm down to 4 clients who I've been with for a decade. And these 4 are my dream clients. They are my ideal clients that respect my work, respect my time, that are kind, that never throw me under the bus, that pay me well, and also respect my boundaries. So just by winnowing down my own client list, I'm able to focus and take care of myself. So again, just curious if anybody's watching, if you struggle with your own organization in your own life, I just want you to know that that's not atypical. It's like I've known a couple chefs and they spend all day cooking, and that when they go home, even though they can cook gourmet meals in the kitchen, when they get home, they eat ramen noodles or like a can of tuna for dinner because they're so tired. They just don't want to cook anything else. It's very typical. All right, Mo, and I'm catching up. VA skills are easy to learn. If how many VA skills are easy to learn, then why are they outsourcing work for us? Oh, okay. Yes, some of these skills can be learned on the job. I do agree that the clients we work with can also are smart enough to manage their own calendars and manage their own inboxes. In my experience, they are either very busy, and just with the example I gave you of they might be good at their job, but when it comes to themselves, they don't give themselves the time or the grace. So they could be so busy that they don't have the time to go through all their emails. They don't have the time to book their own travel. It could also be that they find value in delegating those tasks to us. So, for example, one of my clients delegates travel to me, not because he is not capable of booking his own flights. He absolutely is. But it will take sometimes hours to find certain flights, certain connections in specific cities, find specific times or car rentals, etc. It can take a long time. And he finds that his time is best used by talking to his own clients because he makes more money that way. So he could either be spending 3 hours meeting his clients, which will lead to more income for him personally, or he could spend those 3 hours ignoring his clients and booking his own travel. So I think it makes sense that even though all of these skills can be learned, that people are delegating the things that take up too much time and maybe don't directly lead to income. And then the third reason, I guess the third main school of thought, in my opinion, of why people delegate out to virtual assistants is that there are certain things that they just don't like to do, or maybe they're not very good at. And I will give you an example in my own life. I have just hired my own virtual assistant to do specifically my YouTube thumbnails because I'm not very good at graphics. It's something I struggle with. I take 5 minutes to do it, whereas I found this great VA who takes literally hours thinking through the message of my YouTube videos, thinking through visually how to convey that message. He does a much better job than I can ever do. And so I will always happily delegate that task out to him because he's just, quite frankly, he's better at it than I will ever be. And then on top of that, I hate to do taxes and bookkeeping. I absolutely hate doing taxes. Like, I will be the most irate butthead you've ever met because I hate to do my taxes. So I also have an accountant who does it for me. Again, I can do it. I know how to do it. I've learned how to do my taxes. I just don't want to. So yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, because yes, any of us are capable of doing admin type things. It's just some people find it easier or more worthwhile and valuable to delegate those things to us. So those are my thoughts on that, which is great, by the way. I love a client who doesn't want to book their own travel because that is more work and money in our pockets, which I'm very happy with. I think that's enough Reddit for the day. I think for next week, instead of going through the exec assistant subreddit, I think we'll go through either some more tools, tech stack stuff. The AI subreddits are super interesting now, just given all the changes that AI is going through constantly. So I think we'll delve into that a little more. But before I hop off this live, does anybody watching have any questions for me about virtual assistants, about your business, or anything that you're struggling with? I do believe there's a bit of a delay, so I will happily give a few minutes just to make sure people have time to type. Okay. Nope. Ask away. That's what I'm here for. Your question is, what is the scope of data scrape? Okay, data scraping. It's funny you said that. I am literally, after this call, going to film a tutorial about a data scraping tool I have just come across called Thunderbit. I'm going to type it in here for you guys. Thunderbit is this, I should tell you what it is. It's this amazing data scraper that makes it really simple to scrape data from literally any website you go to. So my thoughts on it, I do not really have any ethical qualms about it, honestly, but with a caveat. That is because my clients are asking me to scrape certain websites, not to steal proprietary information. I think I would draw the line. Like, that would really bother me if a client was like, figure out what's going on with this product and then steal the info so I can build another version of it. I would have a hard time with that. My clients tend to come to me and ask me for, if they're going to a conference, for example, they'll give me the conference website. And they usually say to me, go through each of the either attendees or the speakers and pull up their LinkedIn profiles and pull up their emails so that I get to know more details about these people and how to connect with them. Now, before tools like data scrapers, it was really hard to do that because it took hours for me to go through and try to find every person's email. But with Thunderbit, and Tori, I'm so glad, definitely put this one in your toolbit. It's free. I only use the free version. There is a paid version, but so far I haven't found the need to upgrade. But for example, I can now open the conference website. I can open Thunderbit as the extension, and Thunderbit not only reads through all of the information, but I also just click one button that says, put this into a table. And then I give it the parameters. So I'll say I want the speaker's name, email address, LinkedIn profile, and then any notes that are relevant. And the scraper makes a full Excel sheet for me in 10 seconds. So it's one of the most helpful tools I've come across in a long, long time. And I'll try to get that tutorial out for next Tuesday because it's such a gem. Hi. Okay, we got a new viewer. I'm just starting as a VA. I've been hearing about building systems and structures. Yes. Let me tell you something. The best thing you can do for yourself as a new VA is build systems and structures. So systems, the reason that your systems are important is because when you have a system where you have certain tools that you love and go to, when you have systems for How do you book travel? Maybe you make a checklist to make sure you're never missing a step. How do you check inboxes? Make sure you have a system of how often you check inboxes. Have a checklist, again, to make sure you're never missing a step. Building out your own systems for how you like to complete tasks is not only incredibly helpful to make sure that you're always giving your best work across different clients, but that you have something if you forget something one day, like you forget a crucial step in travel booking, you can look back at your own checklist or system and think, oh, I did all this, but I actually forgot to put in their frequent flyer number, or I did all this, but I forgot to book them a car. So it's things like that that'll help you become a more efficient virtual assistant because you will have systems in place. And I love that you use the word systems. I actually revamped my entire website. It's just my name, erinbooth.com. And I've revamped the whole thing to basically be about how we as VAs need to build systems. So, excellent question. If you want to email me separately, I'm going to send you a link to, sorry, I cannot type and talk at the same time. That's my email. If you want to send me an email, I'll send you some more tips about how you can get started building your own systems. But I could do a whole other video about that. So that's a great question. Gladys, what more can you talk about lead generation as a niche? That's a great question. So lead generation is one of the services that I offer. It is not a niche per se, but I have had clients ask me, certainly, well, clients in the past actually have asked me for a lot of lead generation. I have an entire video from years ago about how I do lead generation. I created a full spreadsheet for it, how I did it manually. So I'll give you an example. I had one guy who was a founder of a startup many moons ago, and he needed to raise money. So he said to me, I need you to find venture capitalists who can give me money, but it had to be really strict parameters. Like I couldn't just find every VC because it wouldn't have fit his parameters. I needed to find VCs who were looking for environmental startups. You know, not everybody wanted to invest in the environment or green tech. I had to find people who would invest in small companies under making a certain amount of money. So he had specific parameters. And again, what I used to do took hours and hours, like 8 hours. I would spend a full day and I would maybe come away with like 5 leads for him to speak to. So Thunderbit is a good one. Again, it scrapes lots of different data. So I will go into a more detailed video about this, but it basically scrapes any website. It also scrapes images and URLs. So if you wanted to plug in different venture capitalist websites, for example, you could scrape data faster, get their emails quicker, and then set your own parameters. I suppose you would have to go through and be like, okay, this person fits the parameters, I'm going to keep them on my list, or this person doesn't, I'm going to delete them. Actually, I would have to look into that myself. I'm curious if anybody else who is watching, if you guys have any tools you use for lead generation, because admittedly, mine was all manual. And I'm trying to think back. I really spent all the years custom searching. It was a lot of Googling. One tip, Gladys, that I can give you is that Google has a great feature if you do a Boolean search. It sounds like the craziest word, but a Boolean search is basically a technique, which I'm also going to put this in the chat, where you define parameters by typing in words like and, or not. So, for example, if I were looking for a venture capitalist who invests in green environmental startups making $5 million a year, I would go to Google search and I would literally type in venture capitalists and startups and green tech. Like I would just put those parameters in there. That in and of itself helped narrow down the search significantly, because then the search results will ignore the vast majority of venture capitalists that don't invest in green tech. So that could be something that's very simple. Um, Having said that, Google is changing nowadays. Like Google, this is not the same Google that we were using 10 years ago, just because Google now has Gemini doing their own AI overview, which I also think is fascinating. But Boolean searches, if you are doing lead generation manually, can be incredibly helpful to help cut down on a lot of clutter. And those are my thoughts on that. All right, Moen, I love the questions. I'm an expert in customer support, email, chat, live phone calls. That's fantastic. What are the general signs of small business that may need services in this? Well, that's hard for me to answer, unfortunately, because customer support, you would think lots of businesses would invest in, but that is certainly not the case. I think that depends on a lot of things. I think it depends on your okay, let me ask you this. Do you have an area of expertise within small businesses? For example, do you like to work with startups in tech, or do you like to work with startups who sell products directly to customers? Having more for you, getting more specific in who you like to work with, who you want to work with, that can help you narrow down searches. Because right now, if you're searching the entire internet for people or businesses who just need small business support and customer service, that's really hard. Like you really need to focus and define your search so that it's so clear and so narrowed down that it's easier for you to find the customers that need your services. But also, having said that, off the top of my head, I have seen and helped other VAs get hired as customer support in the following industries: new apps, tech tools. So when a company is launching a new product and they want to get the word out there, I've helped VAs get hired to be customer support, where they don't necessarily have a team of people to answer questions yet. Since they are a startup, let's just say again, a new app, a new tool, they will typically hire one person to get started because money is usually tight. So they will hire a VA to be the person to help manage the incoming questions, to help build out an FAQ system. So that's very typical. Another thing that I've seen where virtual assistants are really good in customer support roles are companies who sell direct to consumer. It's called B2C, business to consumer. And this I'm specifically thinking of a company called Away, which years ago started as a small company on Instagram who was selling luggage. And they got their start on Instagram. Again, it was founded by two women putting really cool, bright colors of their suitcases on Instagram. And it started to take off because people really liked their design and their aesthetic. They had to hire a customer service person to help them make sure that they were capturing leads, answering questions, sending invoices, helping if there were any issues with the shipping, so B2C could be very helpful. And then the last thing I'll say is I just earlier this week sent some virtual assistants to a potential client who came to me. He is a chef, and his chef business was getting big enough that he said, I need a VA to be basically my customer service, to answer questions and inquiries about people who want to hire me as a chef, to send invoices, to assist with problems, etc. So I would focus on small businesses. Oh, I don't know this person, Kareem Jazz with Temu. I definitely recommend looking into business. Oh, good. Thanks for watching me, for everyone who's tuning in, and it's 11 p.m. You guys are the sweetest. Yeah, I'm just going to type this into the support chat. My gosh, you guys, my brain. I'm going to type this into the chat bar as well. B2C, direct to consumer businesses for customer service. Okay, so B2C would be a really good phrase for you to Google. I need more coffee, you guys. My brain's going down. You know what? Having said that, I have talked your ears off today. So I just want to say thank you for everyone who tuned in today. Tune in next Thursday. Next Thursday, again, I'll probably try to go through some different subreddits, maybe some AI subreddits again, because I love tools and tech, and I'm always testing out new tools like daily. So yeah, good stuff. If anybody else had any questions, I read all of your comments on YouTube. I really believe that there's so much work for all of us to go around. So I'm always super helpful when you guys watch and send me questions and comments because I really do want to see you all succeed. And there's so much work for us. There's enough work for all of us at the table. So send away. I want to help you out. And yeah, catch me next week live. Otherwise, look out for my next video on Tuesday. It might just be on Thunderbit, that data scraper, because it's a really cool tool. I think we should go through everything that it can possibly do. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to grab myself another coffee so I can keep working today. Hi, Diana. Hi, Ken. Oh, hi. I've always wanted to go to Kenya. That's very high on my list. I would love, love, love to visit. Yes, thank you. I know. Sorry, it's late. Hopefully the replay is helpful as well. So, okay. Thank you guys so much for joining today. I'll see you guys soon. Appreciate you all very much. Bye.